What most people don't realize is our past really does dictate our future. It shouldn't, but for most people, it does. And so what do I mean by that? The challenges, the trauma, the struggles we've gone through, if we don't properly work through them, they end up owning us more than we own them.
Yeah.
And so that struggle with a dad that was abusive or that wasn't there, right? That just doesn't go away. It changes us to our core, and then we live that out for the rest of our lives until we go either heal or reprocess that. And so, yeah, anyway, so I went on my own journey, and that led me through starting a lot of businesses, scaling multiple 6, 7, 8-figure companies, and eventually diving deep into personal development and personal growth.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Big Hitters Podcast. I'm joined by the founder of Rise Up Kings, Skylar Lewis, who I look up to a lot and has built a pretty cool movement of men who are growing deeply as fathers, husbands in their faith. And so I've been eager to pick his brain. Skylar, let's start with this. Tell us a bit of the story. How did you get started with Rise Up Kings? And what brought you to where we are today?
Yeah, man, glad to be here. Pretty wild time we're walking through right now with what happened yesterday, and a lot of stuff going on with Charlie. But let's dive into this. Let's dive into my story. Yeah, dude, I grew up in a little town, a little 700 square foot mobile home. Had a desire to be successful. I figured if I could create financial success, that was my way out. That was my way to be seen. That was my way to be significant. And so, dude, yeah, I love business. I love entrepreneurship. Started growing businesses when I was a teenager, and including, I don't share this a lot, but I had a spray tanning business when I was 18, full on spray tan business, man.
I love that.
Yeah, it was wild. It was not an ideal thing for a single guy spray tanning a bunch of ladies, but it's what I chose to be my profession. So yeah, just all kinds of stuff, dude. Website design. I started a lot of businesses, and I was a confident kid. And so what happened though was I realized I eventually found my this girl, Jessica, and dude, fell in love with her. And so I was creating some success. I was in a relationship, but I had really weak character, and so I ended up dating her. I ended up cheating on her through that relationship, just did some damage. And then I realized, I'm like, man, I got some stuff to work on. And so the verse, 2 Corinthians 3:17 says, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. And in my experience, man, as a Christian, I wasn't experiencing freedom. And so I started to meet other guys that weren't experiencing freedom. And so I went on a journey of personal development, started going to seminars, Tony Robbins, hired coaches, did all kinds of stuff, and eventually found a path to healing and freedom from my past. I had some significant things that happened in my past that were playing into my future. And what most people don't realize is our past really does dictate our future. It shouldn't, but for most people, it does. And so what do I mean by that? The challenges, the trauma, the struggles we've gone through, if we don't properly work through them, they end up owning us more than we own them.
Yeah.
And so that struggle with a dad that was abusive or that wasn't there, right? That just doesn't go away. It changes us to our core, and then we live that out for the rest of our lives until we go either heal or reprocess that. And so, yeah, anyway, so I went on my own journey, and that led me through starting a lot of businesses, scaling multiple 6, 7, 8-figure companies, and eventually diving deep into personal development and personal growth and launching.
Okay, so you had Superior Restoration in California.
Yep.
And what was the just kind of gross revenue typically for that business?
Yeah, so we launched that in 2010 and scaled that to about 4 million within about 3 years, and then eventually to 13 million. So that was a fun business, growing that, water and fire restoration.
So this idea for Rise Up Kings, you're doing Superior Restoration. Are you doing them at the same time? When does the idea come to you?
Yeah.
I know you said you were praying on your couch, you prayed for the name, but I'm curious to know through that thought process and how it all started.
I think once people reach a certain level of success, success no longer does anything. It's there. You hit diminishing returns on success. So I had the nice house by the beach, a successful company that was giving me freedom in my life. I had created success, but I got bored and I knew God wanted more. I actually met with the guy today, a banker, and he's like, dude, I've created a lot of success, but he's like, it's no longer fulfilling me. So he's on his hunt for like the next level. And so we want to move from success to significance, kingdom significance. And so many people's aim is success. I want to go create success when really our aim should be to create significance in the kingdom, to be significant for the kingdom. And so as I was sitting on the couch in Newport Beach, I'm like, dude, I've kind of built the life that I thought I always wanted. It still didn't leave me completely fulfilled. I knew I had more to give. And so, yeah, I sat on the couch, man. I prayed. I'm like, Lord, where do you want me? And I just saw the vision of serving men and leading men and like helping guys level up, like helping ambitious dudes get to the next level and step into freedom. And so, yeah, the name Rise Up Kings came to mind as I was sitting on my beige couch, 1 block from the beach, in my little condo and or house. And yeah, and then from that moment, gave myself a short timeline to go launch this epic event, and launched it 2 months later.
One of my favorite things is when I stumble across one of the OGs with Rise Up Kings. It's kind of like a fraternity is what it reminds me of, honestly, sometimes. Yeah. And some of the guys that went through the refineries back at your house.
Yeah.
I guess at one point you guys, I'm not going to divulge any refinery secrets, but some of the different modules, I suppose, were pretty low tech, backyard type stuff, Fight Club type stuff. So like, I guess how did that
was like in the parking lot, like a parking lot. We started humbly, you would say, and learned a lot. But what I found, dude, is there's a lot of guys that they actually do want to level up. There's like something innately built in us where we know we're capable of more. We know when we're not operating at our full potential and it bothers us. Most guys suppress it and kind of pretend like it's not there. And then there's a select group of guys that are like, F that. Like, I want to go break free. I want to go break through. I want to find a breakthrough. And so those are the guys that typically are attracted to ruck. And so I pulled some of those guys together for the first event. And then we started finding those guys and hunting for them and going searching for them.
Was there ever a time where you thought about setting it up as a nonprofit? Why did you set? Because I feel like it's a ministry. Like you're doing a lot of ministry.
Yep.
But it's a for-profit entity. So walk me through that decision.
Yeah. I'm really good at building and scaling businesses. That's like one of my expertise. And so as I decided on what to do, I really wanted to be able to fund ourselves. So I'm not a pastor, right? This is not a church. And so I didn't see ourselves, like I wanted to be able to have this thing sustain me and my family so I could do it full time. Even though Superior Restoration had created millions of dollars of net worth and net profit on a regular basis for us, I wanted to build something that could A, sustain our family as we scaled it, and B, sustain itself. Most nonprofits, you have to continuously ask for money. And like, you're always asking for money. And I'm like, dude, I'd rather just build something where I could provide a great value and people get a ton of value from it and they pay for it. And that's what pays for the operational costs. I'm like, I'd rather do that than continuously fundraising all the time. And so that was the original reason for starting Ruck as a for-profit organization.
You've got some pretty ambitious goals. So I believe it's 100,000 people, right, that you want to impact. Yeah. So what do you feel like is between where we are now and where you want to be? What's next, or how do you get there?
The only thing, and we've identified it. You ready for it? It's strategic relationships is the differentiator. We're really good at marketing. We're really good at sales. We're really good at growing and expanding that way. And the way we're going to get to 100,000 people and eventually 1 million people transform through our experiences is through key relationships. So We're working with politicians right now. We're getting connected. I got connected with a movie producer who created The Trump I Know. He produced that movie. He produced I Can Only Imagine, a couple other big films. And so he knows the Trumps. So it's these key relationships that will get us connected to the right people that will help us become more well known to this country. We want to be the brand that when someone thinks about faith-based personal development, not secular, but like, hey, I want to go level up, but I don't want to sacrifice my family or my faith to grow my business and to become a better person. We want to be the brand name for that in the United States. And so strategic relationships, man, is what we've identified in the last 2 months. And so we're going all out on meeting the right people where we can create a win-win opportunity.
And what does that look like? I mean, I know we had at one point talked about like what would happen if you got on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
Like, is it trying to kind of captivate and capture their audience and their sway to get them to funnel people to Ruck?
Yep. People with great influence. How can we partner? How can we use their platform to make an impact? People that care about impact. They'd have to have a desire to like see people transform and level up, not just be another podcast or another influencer or author or speaker.
Yeah. What are some of the sticking points right now that you guys are trying to solve? Barriers you're trying to overcome, issues with scaling? Like what are some of the kind of things you're trying to work through right now?
I would say moving from tactical execution to strategic planning. Mm-hmm. Most organizations are fairly good at just tactics versus strategy. So tactics in a war, right? When you're tactical execution in a war will not give you the W, will not give you the win. Just setting up a bunch of military and then just going for it. So there's a level of strategy is what will create the win. So I was having a meeting 30 minutes ago with one of my executives on the team, and I said, hey, we're really busy. I understand you're executing on a ton of things, like literally just tons of stuff we're knocking out. And he's like, yeah, I feel good when I execute. I'm like, I get it. I love it. And the way we're going to get to the next level and go from good to great is going to be you not just tactically executing. It's by you creating something that's so strategic and well thought out that it stands out. So like each new project you do, don't just get the project done. Give yourself 30 minutes or an hour extra to make it the most epic SOP or the most epic marketing campaign or the most so it's got to be great, like to really, because we've already grown so much. We're one of the largest Christian or maybe the largest Christian personal development organization in the country. So we're redlining though. So the only way to like get to the next level is going to be like through excellence and through something that is so strategic and well thought out that it's like, boom, it blows it up, right? It's not going to be just knocking out more tasks and getting more things done. And so I'm having to retrain my team. Hey, what we did got us here, but just tactically executing, it's not going to get us to the next level at this point. We have the ceiling we're hitting. We got to be building epic stuff.
Yeah. I'm curious, how are you guys, if at all, utilizing AI? I ask this on every podcast. Like, are you using it at all with any sort of processes, automations, anything of that nature?
A lot of our team uses it to build out their SOPs and to write emails. AI personas, they'll build out those. We use it not to its full capacity by any means. So I'd say we're still like a 2 out of a 10 on AI implementation. Like
that. All right. What's something we haven't talked about that gets you fired up? Well, I mean, I would like, actually, out of curiosity, I'd like to talk about yesterday for a second, because I've seen you posting about it. I didn't know him personally. I didn't really even follow him, but now, like I'm sure a lot of people did, I did a deep dive on his stuff and saw a lot of his content, saw a lot of his videos, the stances he took. I actually have a good friend, a pastor in New Canaan, Connecticut, named Cliff Connectley, who does something very similar. He doesn't do any political stuff on campuses, but he goes on campus and he'll defend. And he's basically an apologist. And
Yep.
so, yeah, I'm really curious to know your thoughts and what's coming up kind of from what happened.
Yeah, Charlie Kirk getting murdered and assassinated is it wasn't because he was a conservative, it was because he was effective. He was really good. And he was actually changing the mindsets of our this younger generation. He was the voice. That's what's crazy about this whole thing, dude. There was nobody else like him. No one's even close. So they just took out our number one guy on the conservative right side, Christian, strong follower of Jesus. They pulled him out of changing and influencing the college students, man. He was the voice. Like, he was against wokeism. He was against transgenderism. He stood for the things that Christians stand for. And he was influencing the minds of college students. And so if they got him out, there is nobody that is doing it at his level, not even close. So there's a giant gap right now. So it's super disappointing, very sad. He had his two kids, his wife Erica. Like, it's a super, super sad, and it just shows that debating and courteous discourse is something that is not working. He had a quote: as soon as you remove what was it, like, courteous debate, basically. As soon as free speech is removed, that's when violence will happen. So now what's happening is, like, who's going to now go to college campuses and start speaking the truth like he is, when there's a chance that you can get shot? So it's kind of it's a weird deal. And so I believe there's going to be people are going to be emboldened by this moment, and they're going to take a stand. And I'm seeing a lot of people starting to become radicalized. I don't necessarily agree with the radicalization, right, of one side or the other. And that's what's happening. That's what's going to happen anytime some major. And by the way, this doesn't happen. I researched ChatGPT, baby. I researched and said, hey, when was the last time some political assassination of somebody that was highly influential happened? Any idea how long ago that was?
Within the last 30 years.
70 years.
Wow.
So it happens maybe once every 70 years. It does not happen. It's wild. You would think it happens a lot more.
Yeah.
This does not happen, where they're actually murdered somebody that was a political activist at that level, murdered. Does not happen. And so we don't know what's going to happen from this whole thing. But it's definitely going to cause some division, right? A major division. And I hope that Christians, though, they don't get radicalized. They don't go full radical on this. I saw a post of somebody saying, hey, we will never forgive what you did to Charlie Kirk. And it's like, dude, that's not what Christians stand for. They stand for forgiveness, right? So how do we be bold and strong and take a stand for truth, while also being thoughtful Christian leaders? Like, we got to find that balance.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I love that. I don't know how to follow that up, but as you were talking, I was thinking, change the man, change the world. I mean, that's your guys' kind of motto. And I know one of the things that's happened to me from Rise Up Kings is I know that I've become more bold in my faith. Like, maybe I don't know how to formulate this question, but do you believe that some of the work that you're doing with Rise Up Kings is creating more of an evangelistic force, like, in boldness and shaping our culture?
Absolutely. Oh yeah, we had a guy come through Ruck a year ago, and man, he got on fire for Christ, and then went back to his work where he's a CEO. They have 400 plus employees, and he started a Bible study and started to infiltrate God all throughout his organization. So hundreds of people, like, changed. So it's like, heck yeah. No, so that's what I found is we activate men, and we help them step into freedom and boldness. So we activate a guy that's like kind of on the sidelines in his faith. Man, if I can get a hold of him, dude, light the fire and activate him, where he shows up with more power, more courageousness, but in a healed way. There's a lot of men that are unhealed, that are Christians, that are actually doing a lot of damage.
Yeah.
That was me, right? Stuck in pornography, stuck taking advantage of my employees,
Yeah.
right? Not playing win-win with my team. Like
Yeah.
I was a Christian, but I was kind of giving God a bad name in
Yeah.
all reality. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
dudes that are running around like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I was at an event recently with the last couple of days with the Benham brothers, and we kind of were going around and doing like mastermind type stuff. And as I was going, I was like, man, I really want to kind of like speak out with feedback like a ruck guy would. But I'm like, I don't know if I've been given license to do that. Like these guys don't know me. I don't know if I have like any sort of green light to give this guy feedback. But there was one guy that was like, be free. Like this guy carries so much shame and so much guilt. And I just wanted to like grab him and like be like, dude, Jesus loves you. So I think I wrestle, Skylar, personally with like how can I, and I know we've talked about this, how can I bring this back to my community? How can I bring this back to my local church? How do I bring some of these ruck cultural principles back to, a context where I don't want to seem like I'm overstepping or, getting out of my lane. Like I've wrestled with how to maybe make that transition.
yep. I love your heart, man. You have a giant heart, and you go 100 miles an hour. You are a force to be reckoned with. So it's what I would recommend is anybody listening to this is and how even you is launching a Bible study, getting guys together and doing it like small group by small group. There's a change happening in the church. Also, there's a documentary out called The Business of Religion, and it's really slamming mega church pastors and mega churches. And so there's a little bit of a deconstruction process that's starting to happen in the church because it has become very large and very business focused. And so I think small groups, getting guys together, like my greatest growth and transformation personally has been in a small group with some dudes, reading the Bible or reading a book together, sharing and being real. And then it's also been leading those guys, leading small groups. That's my way to influence small groups of people at a time. Versus like, hey, how do I go change my whole church? You can't change it small group by small group by small group.
That's awesome. All right, man, what's next? I've noticed I'm keeping in touch with Marion Miller. Looks like things are starting to go more local. So like, what's the next phase for Rise Up Kings?
Yeah, we're starting to do, we're still figuring that out fully, what that looks like. And our vision, though, is to start launching local either chapters or local, what we call Ignite events, and then having this either free or real low cost event where guys can come for $50, do a 1-day ruck event. And then from that place, like start to step into the brotherhood of what we have going on. There's so many men that are hungry, that are hurting, that I talked to somebody recently and he's going through a divorce. Like just lost sight of his wife and loving his wife, got focused on work, and he's in the middle of a divorce now. So there's a good dude, ambitious, successful. So basically, like there's a lot of hungry dudes out there. So I think that's what's next is just launching local chapters that can go serve men at a local level. And then eventually get those guys to work through back up here to Dallas for some of our more advanced work that we do. So I think that's the vision. I'm just along for the ride. But my hope is, here's the deal, and I would challenge you, do something so big that the only way it could happen is if God showed up. So sometimes we play in our own strength. And so my challenge has been to myself and other people, dude, let's play so big where the only way it would work, having a vision so big, is if God actually showed up and did the work. Like you're like, there's no way I could do this in my own strength. Absolutely no way. My own ambition, my own tenacity, like it won't work. My own skill. It's the only way this could possibly work is if God showed up.
I got one. You inspired me with that. Actually, I've written it down since the refinery. But so there's this 26-mile street in Denver called Colfax, and it is supposedly the longest unbroken road in America. It's not the longest, I guess, street potentially. And dude, it is shady. It is super shady, like motels, like strip joints, stuff like that. And it's gentrified closer to the city. But the further you get out, like it is wild. And my vision is to flip East Colfax, which is, not just a house, not just a building, like the entire east side of Colfax. So 13 miles of stuff. And like starting with like the seediest, nastiest motel that's used for prostitution and drug deals. Like, let's start with that one and just, step by step, flip this sucker for the kingdom. That's mine. I don't know if it's going to happen in my lifetime, but I want to get it started.
Dude, I love it. No, that's a big vision right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, last question. I want to give you an easy one to end it. So you have an awesome podcast. I love listening to it. Who are 3 of your top favorite guests that you've had on the show?
I think Steve Weatherford was fun. His testimony was just fire that he had. He dropped some fire. Who else? My top guess. That's a hard one, dude. I had so much fun. I think Vivek on the podcast was really fun to get to know him more, play some ping pong with him, and Jason Wilson was a solid, lot of good content, a lot of good nuggets, bite-sized nuggets that were very valuable.
Yeah. Well, obviously, people want to learn more about who you are, what they do. They can go to riseupkings.com. Anything else that you want to plug while we still have you?
Yeah, no, my book, 2-Day CEO on Amazon, or Skylar Lewis. Just follow me on social media. That's it, though. Just here to make an impact and make a difference, just like you.
Well, don't go anywhere. I want to chop it up, but thanks so much for joining us on the show.
Sounds good.